don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. And Hey everybody! Welcome to more Christmas times! I just really wanted to show you guys my beautiful Christmas sweater I got this year. It's the Velociraptor! Get it? I have more wine in hand, which means today I'm doing another movie review. Caitlin talks about movies. Caitlin watches movies and talks about them. I know I already did one of these videos this month, and I don't want to bombard you with them, so I watched the movie Krampus. I think that's how you say it. Krampus? Krampus? I think it's Krampus. This movie came out in 2015, which threw me off because I've known about it for a while, but I thought it was more recent than that. Time flies, I tell you. Basically, it's a horror Christmas movie, which horror you can take with just a smidge of salt or a grain of salt. I don't know what that phrase means. The horror, I think, can be used loosely. It's definitely creepy. I have a lot to say about this movie, so I'm just gonna start telling you about it and the story and give you my thoughts along the way because I had a lot of them and yeah, we just have a lot to talk about. So let's get into it. For anyone that doesn't know, Krampus is this ancient, I wouldn't say ancient, it's this really old legend of basically the evil version of Santa that comes to punish people instead of giving them presents. In this movie, his punishment is straight up capturing people and sending them to the underworld. He is this big creature. It's this kind of demon-esque looking character, a pointy chin, long tongue, big horns, goat legs. In this movie, they definitely blended Santa and this goat creature together, and because he kind of had a Santa-ish face. I'll get there. I need to rewind a little bit. So yeah, that's what Krampus is. It's basically evil Santa that punishes people. So the movie starts out right away just filling you with anxiety by showing this montage of people running into this store on a Black Friday or something, holiday shopping, and just trampling people and fighting over stuff. And then that leads into introducing you to the family. The son in the family, his name's Max. He's in some Christmas recital or something, and they show you this shot of him fighting another kid on stage, and then his parents run up in slow motion and grab him, and then they go home and it starts there, and it's basically keys you in that this family is already stressed and they're having more family come over who they don't all really like all that much. So basically you just get introduced to all this family that doesn't get along great, and they're not really that excited about the holidays and being together and stuff. One of the characters you get introduced to right away also is the grandma. Their grandma, I think they call her Omi. She's German, and the German word for grandma is Oma, but they call her Omi or something. I don't know, fun little grandma name. She only speaks German, but everyone else talks to her in English, and so she clearly understands English, but she only speaks in German the whole movie, so that's fun. And you kind of get this sense from her right away that she already knows something's up or something could be coming, because she gets a few shots of this kind of ominous look where she's looking off in the distance, hearing her family fighting, and she's just Omi knows something. The rest of the family gets there, and they are all truly as awful as you would expect. So, okay, I should probably lay out all the characters for you first. So we have the grandma, German grandma, Max, youngest boy in one of the main families. And he has an older sister. She's I don't know, a teenager. Her name's Beth. Adam Scott's character's name is Tom. His wife's name is Sarah. And they have Max and Beth. And then the people that come to visit, the aunt and uncle, is Howard and Allison. Their kids are Stevie and Jordan. Oh, they have a kid, Howie, who's this little chubby kid that doesn't talk at all through the whole movie, and he's just kind of awful. So they bring Aunt Dorothy, and she's just another miserable character. Sarah and Tom, Beth and Max, are already there with Omi. So Howard and Linda and their kids, Stevie and Jordan and Howie Jr., show up, and you're just like, wow, they all suck. And they have a baby too. And then they come up with this other aunt, Dorothy. That's everybody. All right, so they all get there. They sit down to have dinner. It obviously goes all wrong because one of the girls starts a fight with Max because she steals his letter to Santa and like reads it out loud to the table. And I was like, okay, why is no one stopping her? Like, an adult could have just been like, hey, don't read that out loud. Like, she's clearly just making Max like cry at the table, because his list was like wishing for things about his family. It wasn't for things. He was like, I wish me and Beth hung out more like we used to. I wish my mom and dad had a better relationship. Max gets his letter back and he goes upstairs. His dad talks to him about something like, hey, you should still believe in Santa or something like that. I don't know. I'm doing great so far. Alright, so Max is sitting at his little desk reading his letter, and he's about to put in the envelope to like send to Santa, and then he has this moment where he's just like, F it, and he like rips it up and he runs to the window, he throws it out the window, and it blows away in the wind. And I'm pretty sure this is the moment that summoned Krampus. Maybe the wind changes and Max is like, whoa, that's kind of weird, and closes the window. Everybody's power goes out, phones don't have service, everything's disconnected. Basically this big like blizzard comes in. So now it's Christmas Eve. Beth comes downstairs and says she wants to go down a few blocks to check on her boyfriend because he's not responding to her texts. Her parents are like, at first they don't want her to, they let her go. She goes down the street. She gets to her boyfriend's house and it gets even darker outside than it was before. And then she looks up on the roof and it's Krampus. And then it leaps in the air and jumps to the next roof, and she's like, screams, and she starts running, and then Krampus is just bouncing house to house, like chasing her down the street. Then she gets up to this truck and she crawls under the truck, like hide from Krampus, and he like walks around and you see his hooves, and then he just disappears. And then she looks next to her and there's this little like jack-in-a-box, which those are never a good sign. And it's going by itself, and then the thing opens and nothing pops out and she's just staring at it. And then you just see the top of the head of this like little, I don't know, the guy's in the jack-in-the-box, the little Joker dude. And then it pans out to the top of the van and she's screaming and it's shaking. So basically there's some kind of little monster in that box and it came out and ate her. So Beth is dead now. Okay, so Tom and Howard take Howard's big Hummer and go down the street trying to find Beth. They get to Derek's house, like the door's open, it's completely like destroyed inside. There's a big hole in the wall by the fireplace because something came out of the fireplace. Krampus, he came down the fireplace. That's what he does. They go into the backyard because they hear what they think is Beth screaming, I believe. Something in the snow grabs Howard and pulls him back and then starts pulling him under into the snow. Tom's able to get him out. They get back to the house and he's got like this big bite mark on his leg. Now Omi is getting like more and more like ominous. She's like sitting by the fireplace, and then Tom tells her to like go in the kitchen and like watch the kids because the adults have to talk about what the heck just happened to Howard's leg. And Omi just looks at him and she says in German, keep the fire hot. He's like, okay. So they decide they need to board up the house. Then it turns to night and they're all sleeping in the living room together. And you hear all these like little evil giggles, like high-pitched giggles. Like, you know, it's like these little evil creatures are like giggling in the chimney. They drop down this big chain with like a big metal hook on the end. It's got little jingle bells on it. And there's a little gingerbread dude attached to the chain, and the little creature starts jiggling it so it makes a little noise, and it wakes up Howie, the little chubby boy. He just like pops up, sees this little cookie on a chain, and he's like, ooh, what's this? That's interesting. Just goes over to the fireplace and grabs the cookie. It takes a bite out of it. The whole time I was like, it's attached to a chain that's hanging down the fireplace. Like, it's clearly a very bizarre situation that there's a chain hanging down your fireplace and there's a cookie on it. Like, anyways, he grabs it, takes a bite out of it, and of course when he looks at it, it comes to life and it goes, wah, and it jumps on him. And then in this really like kind of comedic cartoony way, it like wraps the chain around him really fast. Long story short, he gets pulled up the chimney. So, and this was the first moment that I was like, they were clearly adding kind of like that cartoonish kind of comedy aspect to like what's supposed to be a scary situation, but there's this element of like comedy to it that's just left me very confused. Okay, so I think this is when Omi finally tells everybody like what she's been thinking about and what she knows is happening. And it goes into this like little claymation scene that's showing like her as a really little girl in Germany. Like she used to believe in Santa and the Christmas spirit and all that stuff. And people around her stopped having the Christmas spirit because they were fighting over bread. So basically her parents were like fighting and she got fed up with believing in Santa and all that because everything else around her was just awful, and she throws her little Santa doll in the fire, and then apparently she wishes for her parents to go away or something. And then that night Krampus comes to visit and you see her like, well, it's this little claymation girl in her bed, and there's like a silhouette of Krampus that goes down the hall and shows like he's like killing her parents or just like capturing them or something. It looks like he killed them in the like shadows. And then the silhouette walks back down and looks in her doorway and he like winks at her and then leaves. And I was just like, I have a feeling that Krampus doesn't wink at people, but okay. Okay, so after that, everyone now knows about Krampus, and this is what's happening. Stevie and Jordan are going upstairs trying to find the bathroom, and they hear a voice from like, I think like the attic, what they think is Beth for some reason. And so they go upstairs, and then the parents downstairs hear screams and they're like, oh my gosh, where's Stevie and Jordan? And so Tom, Sarah, and Linda go upstairs. This is one of the jewels of the movie. So they're looking around and they don't see anything. They flash their lights over to this one corner. Basically, there's this giant jack-in-a-box creature whose face like opens up like that, and he's got all these like nasty teeth and stuff, and he ate one of the girls. So he turns around and he's like finished swallowing one of them. It's really just gross. So basically he's this like Cloverfield version of a jack-in-a-box. Right when they're gonna like try to go attack it, like these other little like creepy toy monster things come and attack. The first one made me laugh out loud. It was very creepy because it was a little like angel doll that came to life, because dolls coming to life is just terrifying. She comes to life and she goes, ah! And she jumps on Sarah and she's on the ground and she's just like, oh my gosh, and this little doll's just like, Long story short, they fight all these crazy little toys up in the attic. The giant, nasty jack-in-the-box thing starts crawling into a vent and gets away that way. They go back downstairs, and then they hear the jack-in-the-box like moving through the house because it's like trying to get outside. Eventually, it falls through the ceiling into the living room where everybody is. All of a sudden, Aunt Dorothy has the shotgun, and then before she's about to shoot the jack-in-the-box thing in the face, Tom's like, finish him off, and she's like, my pleasure. And because they were saying all those words and waiting too long instead of just pointing and shooting, then the window breaks open and the grandma goes, oh, elves. They weren't like elf size, they're just like 4 feet tall maybe. These like weird cloaked creature things with these weird masks on. They're pretty creepy. They steal a baby. One of them runs right up to the jack-in-the-box thing and they like hug each other. Like they haven't seen each other since last Christmas or something. What is this? So that whole scene was just like, I laughed out loud because the situation was just ridiculous. Like it wasn't like scary. It was like, obviously they look creepy, but the way things were happening was just hilarious. Okay, so now that's all that's left is Omi, Stevie, Max, Sarah and Tom and Linda. Basically, everybody decides that we're gonna go outside. We gotta go find that snow plow truck that's in the middle of the street so we can get in it and just drive away and try to find help or something. Omi stays behind. She's got face Krampus for herself. And Krampus comes creeping down the chimney and they have a really weird moment. He's like looking at her and then he like takes his finger and like strokes her cheek. when you see his face up close, you can see that it's kind of like a human-esque face, but his mouth is just like wide open, like not just like, but like his jaw, he doesn't have a jaw or something. It's just like, mah. And he has this really long, gross tongue that's just unnecessary, but he does. Yeah, then he opens up a toy bag. She looks in the bag and all these little evil toys come to life and go, wah! So basically you get the idea that Omi was killed by a bag of toys. Okay, so now everybody's outside running to find the truck. The thing in the snow that bit Howard the first time, that comes towards all of them. Tom has a shotgun and he's shooting at it, and he tells everybody to go on without him. And they're all crying. They're like, no, we can't leave you. And he's like, go. So he's shooting at it. He runs out of bullets, whatever it is, grabs them and takes them down in the snow. I'm assuming to the underworld. So they're all running for the truck. Linda gets grabbed. She gets taken. Right before Sarah can get in the truck, she gets snatched. And Max and Stevie got in the truck. But then those pesky elves show up. They bust the windows and they grab Stevie and take her away, and Max knocks one out by hitting it with the truck door, and then that thing gets sucked into the snow. So then you know no one is safe, not even the elves. And basically there's this big like bonfire, and all the elves are around it, and Krampus is over there, and they're just having a like evil little party. Max runs up to them and he's like, hey, a-holes! He doesn't say that he says the bad word, but I'm censoring for this YouTube video. And they all look over and Krampus comes over to him, and Max is like trying to say like, take me instead, and then says he wants to take his wish back and he like wants his family back. He just wants everything to go back the way it is. Krampus is looking at him and like wipes away one of his tears and then starts laughing at him. It's so weird. Krampus opens up the ground to open up the underworld, and a pit of fire, and you can just hear like screams like his family is down there. The elves throw Stevie into the underworld. Then Krampus grabs Max and holds him over the hole. He apologizes to Krampus for some reason. And then Krampus just drops him in the hole. So the next scene is Max waking up in his room, and it's like really bright in this kind of dreamy, hazy shot. And he jumps up and he realizes it's Christmas Day. He hears his family downstairs having like Christmas morning, and he runs downstairs and everybody's there and everything's fine. They're just having Christmas morning. It's bright and cheery. He goes and sits by his parents and he tells them he loves them and that he just like had a bad dream last night. They're all like getting presents, and Omi gives this little box to Max. He opens it and it's the little Krampus bell, and then one by one everyone around him looks at the bell, and then you can tell they're having this moment of like remembering everything that happened, and then everyone's just looking at each other like, wait, what's actually happening? And then it zooms out and their house is in a snow globe, and then the snow globe is on a shelf with a bunch of other snow globes in like Krampus's house. Krampus has a snow globe room. So yeah, it ends there, and basically we get the idea that now they are just stuck in Christmas morning. Yep, that's how it ends. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's like my new favorite movie, but I actually laughed out loud a few times. Mostly because it was so ridiculous, but I just also thought it was really funny. I mean, it was creepy. The creatures look weird and creepy. The Jack in the Box was super gross. I would recommend it to anyone that likes Christmas, likes creepy things, wants to watch just like a dumb movie that doesn't have like a super good storyline. It doesn't necessarily sound that appealing to many people, but maybe you just want to like kind of watch a dumb movie and just enjoy it and have a good time. You have to go in with low expectations to enjoy it. I'm glad I watched it. I've been wanting to watch it for a while. I know I did a horrible job describing the plot to you, but it really is just, that's what happens. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, if anyone else has seen Krampus and they feel the same way or have other thoughts or other things they thought were funny, feel free to comment below or like on my Facebook page. We can definitely talk about it more. But yeah, thanks for watching. I post new videos almost every Tuesday and Thursday, definitely every Thursday. You can follow me on all social media at its_justCaitlin, or on Facebook is it's just Caitlin. Hope you all had a very Merry Christmas that's all I have for now. Alright guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye! Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Alright.